for Strathmore Brooks.
Mr. Speaker, this weekend, hundreds of Conservatives from across Alberta gathered in Red Deer to discuss how to take Alberta back. Wildrose members voted overwhelmingly at our annual general meeting to kill Bill 6 and to scrap the carbon tax. These policies were proposed by the grassroots members of Strathmore Brooks who have felt these impacts firsthand. The closure of Western feedlots in my constituency is a real-life economic impact study. Will the government commit to publicly releasing the full internal economic impact study of the carbon tax that the Premier talked about yesterday?
Minister of the Environment and Parks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as we indicated, we are looking at releasing all of the underlying data that uses the same econometric modelling that underlies the fiscal plan and the budget, Mr. Speaker. And certainly this work is ongoing with respect to the economic benefits of carbon pricing and the reinvestment of those substantial revenues in communities, in individuals, in businesses, and in First Nations, Mr. Speaker.
First supplemental.
Given, Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago we got the news in Strathmore that Western feedlots would be closing its doors. They cited as the reason they were facing headwinds in the cattle market, but also this government's policies on the carbon tax and the heavy regulatory burden of Bill 6. The concerns that we have raised are no longer theoretical. Real people in my constituency are losing their jobs. If the government will not reconsider its decision to force the carbon tax and Bill 6 on Albertans, what will they do to ensure that more businesses like Western feedlots do not have to close their doors?
Minister of the Environment and Parks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, it is disappointing to hear about the job losses at Western feedlots. I will remind the member that, of course, marked gasoline for agricultural purposes is exempt from the carbon levy. I will further remind the honourable member of an initial $10 million investment in on-farm efficiency programs, Mr. Speaker, and we await additional investments from the federal government and looking at how we can increase that programming over time. One final note, Mr. Speaker, of course, in June of last year, 1,400-pound calves sold for about $2,800. This year, they are selling for about $1,800, Mr. Speaker. So that's the state of the industry right now.
Second supplemental.
Given, Mr. Speaker, at least we're hearing some positive signs the NDP are at least quietly acknowledging that their carbon tax is creating real problems for rural Alberta. They introduced their $10 million subsidy program to compensate farmers for the huge added tax costs of the carbon tax. But that $10 million is equal to 0.3% of the $3 billion carbon tax. It's pennies. Why doesn't the government just scrap the carbon tax and keep the change?
Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the reason why we are pricing carbon is that climate change is real. And I know that it is fashionable on the other side of the House to retweet conspiracy theories, peddle hoax memes, and otherwise cast doubt on the reality of climate change, Mr. Speaker. But that is not the approach of this government. The approach of this government is to make thoughtful investments in communities, in the agricultural sector, to make folks' operations more efficient, Mr. Speaker, creating good jobs and making our economy resilient to a carbon-constrained future. Because once again, Mr. Speaker, climate change.